Okay, this car happens to be a 70 Chevelle. What the problem here is, it's leaking power steering fluid. Here are the hoses right over here. There's two hoses. And the reason why they're leaking is because they've never been changed and they're 47 years old. So from the steering box, they go into the power steering pump itself. This car happens to have air conditioning on it, so it's got another thing that we have to get around. So it's got a belt that goes on it. The power steering has a belt. So what I'm going to do for this video, I think I'm just going to get my drain pan and take this hose off and just move it out of the way. That way I have more room in here. So let me get my pan and start draining. You'll see it's got a little tiny cockpit down there. So that'll drain the water. We're not going to drain it all because we just want enough so we can take the hose off. Okay, I'll just take that off, take the hose off and just move it out of the way. Now I have a little bit more access. I can see. Let me loosen up the air conditioning. So we just have to loosen these up a little bit. Come down on the bottom. Okay, so here we are underneath the car. You'll see it's got power steering fluid all over because it's just leaking. And here is where the hose is connected into the pump. This hose with a clamp is the low pressure. The one that's got a fastener on here is the high pressure. So we get that clamp out of the way. Work the hose loose a little bit. And there it comes. And of course, I have a pan for it to flow into. And we'll just wait for that to stop. Alright, okay, so here we are. We got the first hose off. That's this one. So now we have to get the second one off. The second one is a 5/8. I have to set the camera down. Okay, so I was able to disconnect the second pipe. So now both of them are disconnected from the power steering pump itself. Here is the pump itself. Adjuster bolt happens to be 9/16, so we're using 9/16 so far all over. And here's the other bolt. You'll see that as soon as we get the adjuster, the pump moves. Now we're going to finish taking the pump off. Here's the bolt that is used to do the adjustment itself, and the belt, remember, goes on the first side, first pulley, because it goes under the pulley in front of the motor, and the other pulley is used for the air conditioner, because the air conditioner lines up with the inner pulley and also the inner pulley on the motor itself. So to get the pump out, let's just take this other bolt off. You should just be able to wiggle that right down. Lift the pump right out. Okay, so here's the pump. Here's the back of it. And see, this is the return line and this is the high pressure line. So now let's take the hoses off themselves. So I'll put this on the side. Okay, now we've got the power steering pump out of the way. We got a little operating room, we got room to move our hands here. Now we have to take these off if they come off. Oh boy, we got lucky. Okay, this is 11/16. Okay, so that's one line. That one is the high pressure. Okay, so now let's get the other one, which is, this happens to be a 5/8. Let's see if this one comes loose. Oh, yes. Boy, we're just so lucky today. Probably because I took off the pump. If I didn't take off the pump, I'd never get these off. Okay, so that's the second line. And here they are. Okay, so here's our two lines. Here's our low pressure line, because it's got the clamp on it. Get that one off. It has a little clip here that holds them both together, so we'll save that little clip. So what we're doing here is comparing the lines. This is the new line I bought. It looks a little different. It is different. This is the high pressure hose. You'll see why it leaked. It's got a little hole right in there. So we have to replace that one. Now this is the low pressure. Got this little protective, probably a little protective sleeve onto it. But what happens is, most time they don't sell them with the whole thing, so all you have to do is take this little piece of take the rubber off. And there you go. So what we're going to do is just bring this part in and measure it and buy one. Before you even replace one of these pumps, if it's making that that winding sound or whatever when you move, the first thing is just check the fluid. It may be just out of fluid. So I know this one's not out of fluid because it leaks. I know the pump is okay, so we got rid of the pump. Now the next issue that we had was with the hoses. Yeah, I went to my local, here's the hose I pulled off. I went to my local auto parts dealer and I couldn't get the right hose. So this project is like 2 or 3 weeks on hold. It's not exactly the same, but it looks like it will fit. And I had to order this from the catalog, so by the time it came and by the time I got motivated again, it's like another 3 weeks later. So we're going to install this hose, and this one is no good anyway, so it leaks. Alright, and then the other hose is I just went to the local auto parts store and I didn't have to do anything special, so I just got the hose from those guys and I'll just cut it for the right length I need. What I'll do is I'll just cut it like 1 inch longer, just in case I make a mistake. I have a 1 inch grace, so I don't have to get another one. So at that, let me put the power steering pump in. Once again, it just fits on the bracket. Now this power steering is basically the same for all the cars. They're just located in little different spots. They both have the same high pressure and low pressure lines. Alright, this happens to be a 9/16, so we'll just tighten this up to a certain point. Okay, so that's just tight enough so I get full movement on everything. Okay, so before I put this bolt in, what I think I'm going to do is go and install the power steering lines. That way I'll have full movement on the bottom side, so it makes it easier for me to get at it. Alright, here is the low pressure line. So what I'll do is just cut it off a little bit longer. Okay, and here is here's the clamp. I put the hose on here. You can see about how far it goes. And then here is going down, and this will be going up. So I'll put the clamp on where I'll be able to get at it if I ever have to from the top. Okay, let me see if this interferes at all. Okay, it does not, so let me tighten it up for good. Okay, so that's tight. Alright, put this other clamp on here. The reason I'm using this one because I really don't like the other ones. But I'll tighten this up to a certain point. Okay, that still slides through. Okay, so I have the two hoses ready to go. So I will go down from the bottom and I'm going to install both hoses on the power steering pump itself. That way I'll have And I'm not going to tighten them up 100%. This way I have time or room to move them and adjust them into position. So let's go down on the bottom. Alright, so here's the power steering pump. Here's the high pressure. This is the low. So let's do the hard one first. It's got to circle around. Okay, so we finally got this started. Okay, this one happens to be a 5/8, so we'll just tighten this up a little bit. Okay, I am going to just leave it. Leave it so I can move it. Now we'll do the easy side, and that is the low power. So this is just a hose slides over the top. I put it on at least till it goes enough for the clamp. Alright, so it's still just not 100%. So let's go back up on top and we'll put the hoses back into the power steering itself. Then we'll come back down here and make our final adjustments. Here we are on top. Here's the, I'm going to put the low pressure on first. I'll just put it in that little clip over here. And then you see I'm all lined up. Okay, always start those by hand because you don't want to cross thread. This is a 5/8 inch. Some people use those special wrenches for fittings, but since I don't do this a lot, I don't have one. Okay, so that looks like it's in position. Now we'll do the high pressure. Just put it right next to the other one. Just line this up. Okay, we got it started. This one happens to be 11/16 odd size. Alright, so now we have low pressure, high pressure, all tied in together. Next thing here is to want to get the belts on. And next we'll put the air conditioning first, then the power steering. Okay, so we got it loose. We have to go around all the pulleys. Okay, so if you look from this side down, you'll see the air conditioning goes on the inner pulley and rides on the second pulley of the pump. Then the pump itself, the actual pump, has its own belt that goes to the other side. Okay, so now what we need to do is, alright, now come around from the front. So we have this bolt here, so that holds the pump on the block, and here we have a 1 bolt 9/16 here. This bolt will allow you to tighten the pump up. Okay, so don't tighten it too much. Now the next thing is to get some kind of lever, or in this case a screwdriver. Okay, so what we have to do is just put the screwdriver in here so the belt is tight. So when the belt is tight, we'll just tighten the adjustment. Okay, that's tight. You see the tension is good on the belt. And then the only thing we have to do is finish tightening the bolt here on the block. But see, we tightened it almost so we don't have to turn a lot of turns. So that will secure it, and also this is the adjustment. The belt is tight. We have to do the same thing with the air conditioning. It tightens. So in this particular case, just pull it. Oh, let me get it this close there. Okay, so I'll tighten it. We got good tension. It tightens on one side. Tightens on the back. Okay, so that's the 4 bolts that hold the air conditioning. Now you got tension on the belt, tension on the air conditioning belt, tension on the power steering belt. So now we got the hoses all in. We're ready to put a little fluid in. We're just going to come and tighten this hose vinyl. So we can make sure it's not in the way of everything. Okay, but what I'm going to do, just for the fun of it here, is I'm going to take the low pressure off again. And since we have all the hoses off and the pump off, everything else, okay. Alright, so we have the hose off. What I'm going to do is just turn the wheel back and forth and see if I have any fluid coming out of here.
Yeah, fluid coming out.
Is fluid coming out?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so we turn it lock to lock and we forced out the rest of the fluid. So now we know the whole system is completely out of fluid. We'll put this hose back on and then we will put power steering fluid in the pump itself, and then we'll have all brand new fluid in here. And that wasn't too much, but that's because we had to pump off everything else. So the hose nicely slips on because it's got lubricant on it. Okay, that looks like that's not going anywhere. So, we got the high pressure tighten, we got the low pressure. Of course, I'm going to use this funnel. It's not really made for this, but and I'm going to put fluid in this. So, just look in the manual, for which specific type of fluid goes in your. Whoa, coming out already. Okay, I think I'm gonna start it up. Alright, so we got the belts on, everything's tight, so let's put the hose back on. Remember, we took the hose off so that we could make it a little easier for us to do all this. You know, I saved the press down that came out of here, so I know exactly how much it takes I'll just put all that back in there. Okay, so in the meantime, now we can go and run the vehicle. So power steering is, okay, it says it's full, but we need to run it. And I'm going to move it from back and forth so that it takes all the fluid, uses all the fluid. Okay, when I turn the steering wheel back and forth, you hear that cavitation noise, and that's because there's still air inside the system. So I'm going to shut it off, check the fluid, and then do it again. Alright, now there's no reading at all, and I can't see the fluid, so I'm going to add a little bit more fluid. And just add a little at a time, because it's hard to get it out of there if you overfill it. Alright, so let me put the top back on. I'm going to start the car back up, and I'm going to go back and forth, and you'll hear, you'll hear a little cavitation if there's still air in the lines. So we're just going to keep on doing that until it all stops. Okay, we went back and forth 2 or 3 times. Now let's look inside and see where we are. Okay, once again, there's no reading, so we'll add a little bit more and do it again. Okay, the reservoir is full, so put the top back on, start it, and do 2 or 3 times back and forth so we can fill all the lines. Now we'll check it again. Okay, this fluid level seems to be pretty high. So, okay, it's at the high mark. Looks like we have a little bit too much in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this run for a few minutes, let this fluid get warm, and then I either have to suck some fluid out of there, or what I may even do is just dip this rag in there and pull out just a little bit. So okay, I'm going to start this up again and just let it run probably for about 3 or 4 minutes to let it all warm up. Let's see, we'll check the fluid one more time. And the fluid is up on the high mark. So we know it's got fluid. All the belts have tension on it. We looked at all the connections. They're not leaking. We looked on the bottom. They're not leaking. So we also put the radiator hose back on there. We filled the radiator up with the Crestone that we took out, and that's it. That's how to change the power steering hose, how to change the pump if you have to, and that's it.